What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall market. I'm also going to talk about some big news that just came out for the markets as we're seeing a little bit more downside, not to mention the fact that there's new developments coming out on these charts. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention an 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. The offer ends very soon in just about 2 weeks. Anyways, looking at NIO on the 4-hour time frame, this does look like it's going to attempt to push just a little bit as we're going to be approaching earnings very soon. So NIO's earnings is going to be the next big catalyst for the share price. And despite the fact that there was a head and shoulders, we did get a big move to the downside already. We will see if the full measured move is done or not. If NIO is about to get some kind of nice bounce, we still have this gap up here to fill around the fives, or if we're about to see a kind of like a pump and then a dump afterwards. This all depends on earnings. So just for context, going into next week, it's going to be pretty significant. On Monday, we have very, very minor earnings to start things off. There's not really much coming out, just like Trip.com. Tuesday has more retail, such as Lowe's and Walmart. We also have Xbox earnings, so just be on the lookout for that. And then Wednesday is going to be a massive day as we have NIO and Target announcing their earnings in the morning. And then after market close, we have Nvidia's earnings. This is going to be very, very big for the way the market moves. This is going to have a big effect on chips and other factors like that. And we'll see what this leads to. So get ready for Nvidia's earnings. Besides that, just so that for next week, I'm not really seeing much that's going on. We do have very, very minor housing data for Monday. For Tuesday, we have minor data as well. Wednesday is very, very minor. And then Thursdays when we have important jobs numbers coming out with a bunch of Fed speakers all over again. And then finally, for Friday, we have very important PMI data reports. So I'll be watching for that. But for the most part, it's going to be a very, very quiet week for data. There's not really much coming out. So just be on the lookout for that. We kind of have like a more cool week with less data. So we'll have to see how things go with that. As far as NIO goes, on November 15th, NIO and its partner Green Car have signed a strategic cooperation agreement, which is very important. This allows them to work together and launch its business in the country, in different countries as they're continuing to grow. And this will help them not only expand their capabilities, but it's going to give them a lot more exposure in those areas. So this is a good piece of news for them as time progresses, and this is going to be very, very interesting. I also want to mention the fact that as NIO continues to expand, we want to see their sales increase alongside their margins. And that could improve things a lot. NIO surpasses 2,600 battery swap stations and about 56 million swaps worldwide, which is good news for them. Volume went up to about 46 million, so it's not too bad. And then we're going to be waiting for earnings to see what kind of updates we get for this. So far, not too bad. Going into next week, the share price looks like it's going to be a little bit more excited for earnings. So I think the 4-hour is showing this might try to push higher. So we're going to be looking for a test of 4.65, which if we break, we're going to be pushing back up towards 4.8. So I anticipate a little bit more upside as the most likely possibility for NIO, and we'll see how things end up going. For SPY, we have a wick right over here. As long as we don't lose 585, we have not actually saw this support officially break for close. Since we closed above 585, we're holding this previous resistance becoming support. So I would expect some kind of rebound, a little rebound for early next week. And then we'll see if we continue to dump lower or not. We'll be watching for this little rebound to start off. We could be looking for a retest of 588 to 589. And we got to reclaim that to start turning back up. If we come short and we don't get that much of a rebound, we could reject and dip lower. So watch a little rebound early next week, and we'll see if the move lasts, if SPY can reclaim 589 or not. I think we might be testing that, and then we'll see if it bounces or not from there. On ES, we came very close to the 4-hour 200 EMA. We're holding it so far. This could signify an attempt to get back up to this imbalance, so there could be a small bounce coming. Bitcoin is trying to push right here. As long as we don't lose 88,500, this could favor 92,500 as our next potential target. If we lose 88,500, we could be dipping, but I do favor a little bit more upside for 92,500, so give it some time. As far as Tesla goes, we're trying to look a little bit more bullish on the 4-hour. We could be pushing for an attempt for 328. If that breaks, we're looking for 340. If we lose 319, we're looking for a dip back down towards 306, but this is still favoring upside for the an attempt to get back up towards 330. I think there's a very, very good chance that might end up happening. Tesla managed to close above the 319 support, so that's a good sign. Might attempt to push a little bit higher, and we'll see if we establish a lower high compared to these highs to get another rejection lower, or if we continue to push from here. But look for a little bit more upside early next week to around the 330 area, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get as we approach that shop zone. For NQ, we dumped really hard. It's about 20,400. We could attempt to push back up for 20,600. And we'll see if we get a rejection or not. But I think we might push a little bit higher, and we'll see how the move ends up looking. So watch and see how this ends up progressing as we may push a few hundred points. Same thing with the QQQ. We dumped really, really hard back down to 495, but then we held support. So this could lead to an attempt to get up to 498 to 500 in this range up here before we see another potential move. But look for an attempt to get back up to 500. I think we're going to try to bounce just a bit. We are due to do that, so give it some time. For Aapl, it's the same thing. This might attempt to push back up towards about 226 early next week. We'll see if we get a rejection. We're still holding the support very nicely, which is right over here. So we actually have this trend line acting as our support. We could attempt to push off of that and try to reclaim the 226 area. Besides that, we have the IWM. This is technically a little bit more bearish. We came very close to filling this gap. We might fill this gap and try to bounce, but I think we could be on our way back up to about 230. We'll see if we get a rejection off that or not. So look for maybe a little bit more downside to about the 226 area, 227 area to fill the gap before it tries to bounce again. That's the most likely case I'm looking at. Coin did get the bounce so far. We could be looking for an attempt to get back up to about 320, as long as we don't end up losing 300. Amzn could attempt to rebound for 204. We'll see how it ends up going. There could be an attempt for that 204 target. Meta looks a little bit more bearish. We got this big rejection after some bearish news came out. We're down about 4%. We had a very, very big investor that reduced their stake by about 310 shares, 310,000 shares, excuse me. So this is like some bearish news that came out. We do like to hold near this 550 area. So it is very bearish right now. It might rebound a bit, but it does look like it might come down to this gap fill. Might be a little bit more downside for Meta. Look for a rebound first before a continuation lower. Microsoft is looking bearish, got a double top like structure. Might retest liquidity up here around 417, then reject. There is still a risk of us dipping towards 410. Google could be dipping a little lower. We'll be looking to see if we retest 175 around that area before it starts to dip lower. Look for a little bit more upside, and we'll see how things end up going. That being said, guys, I want to thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great day. As far as the market goes, especially stocks like NIO, we're still holding up quite decently. I think NIO is going to try to bounce a bit because of earnings that's coming out, and we'll see if we reclaim 4.65 or not. But look for some more upside for the 4.65 area, and then we'll see what kind of reaction we get from there. The week that's coming up is going to be very interesting. We do have some big earnings like Nvda's coming out, so we'll see what that leads to. With that being said, I'll be back on Sunday to give you guys another update. Until then, please enjoy the rest of your weekend. I think we have a very big event on Netflix coming out today. We have the fight with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, so we'll see how that goes if you guys are interested in watching that. But anyways, enjoy the weekend. I'll be back on Sunday to give you guys another update. Please take care, guys, and have a very, very good night. Let's see that bounce next week for NIO, and peace out.